Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Stevens, the Director of Development for the American Council of the Blind here at our national office just outside Washington, D.C. in Alexandria, Virginia. I hope everybody is doing safe and well on this week before Thanksgiving Day. And we were wanting to take some time today as our heads are beginning to focus in on Thanksgiving and everybody trying to do what we can to be with some sort of normalcy next week, if it's with family or even just by ourselves, maybe virtually connected. We know there's a lot of people that are going to be separated these holidays, and a lot of folks around the country this year. It's been a very challenging year.
Big virtual gravy boat.
Big virtual gravy boat, exactly. That other voice you're hearing is our executive director, Eric Bridges, who I'm very excited to have with us today. And what we're wanting to do is just to take a few minutes as our heads are beginning to focus on Thanksgiving, is to pause for a few moments and to give thanks to you, the supporters of the American Council of the Blind. It has been a fantastic year amidst this roller coaster that we've been on, against all the hardship and the challenges and the difficulties that we've had as a society, as a country, particularly for people who are blind. We've been listening and we've been very acutely aware of those many challenges everyone has had. But we have been also equally very excited by the enormous opportunities that have been coming from the American Council of the Blind, not just on the national office, but more from our members who stood up and said, you know what, we're not going to be socially isolated. We're going to create a whole new way of interacting and engaging virtually, and really help step to the forefront of creating a new paradigm, a new way that we as people who are blind and visually impaired are engaging and building and fostering community. And that's one of the things we're most thankful for. And it would not be possible, again, not be possible at all without the support of those who are our volunteers, those who are our donors, our sponsors, our funders, our individuals that are giving through all the MMS programs and other ways. So
that's right.
We wanted to say thank you. And I'm so glad that Eric, is taking time out of your schedule. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here.
It really is in a sense been a I can't believe the year's almost over. It feels like years ago that we were in March.
Isn't that crazy? In some ways it feels like it's flying by, and in other ways it's really grinding.
Like it's the speed of stop.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But share with us, and particularly our supporters and everybody who's been giving their time and energy and resources and money that's joining us today. Share with us a little bit about some of the successes we've had this year.
Well, a couple of the larger successes that we've had have really been due to our ability to adapt and our community to adapt to the virtual engagement. So whether that is us in late March electing to hold a virtual convention that had 250 hours of content generated from it, 108 breakout sessions, pretty tremendous stuff over 8 days. The amount of engagement and interest that we saw from it was absolutely tremendous. But I would argue, Tony, part of the reason why we had so much active engagement in our virtual convention was the fact that in mid-March, we began to hold our virtual community events and build our virtual community, keep the engagement and enhance the engagement with our members and others from the blind community. That really fed in really well to our convention. And I'm so excited. There are now today more ways to plug into ACB, to see what's going on, to get to know folks and to have a real sense of belonging than ever before. And the pandemic presented us with a whole host of challenges, and I think that we've been equal to those challenges. And it's been a real tribute to the staff, folks like Cindy Hollis, folks with ACB Radio, Debbie Hazelton, Jason Cassingue, Rick Morin, Deb Cook-Lewis, Jeff Bishop, and others. It's been a real credit to all of us to be able to adapt and be flexible and really work with our core values as an organization to accomplish so much.
And it's been outstanding in the sense of the ability to engage people that we've never really engaged with. Over 26% of the people that came to our virtual convention this year had never been to a conference or convention. You know, in a sense, having it virtually allowed people to attend for the first time, in addition to those that were just learning of ACB for the first time through our sort of large community push and virtual meetings and things like that for the months leading up to our convention. But that wouldn't have been possible without the support of everybody that was helping bring the conference together from the volunteer side, and also our corporate sponsors and all of our individual sponsors and donors that helped really weather us through those initial months of the pandemic and really get us to a situation where we could have, you know, at that time, what was something that hadn't ever really been done, not just in the blindness area, but in terms of other events and conferences that were going virtually. We were among the first to sort of tackle this nationally.
And to do it in a full scale fashion. There were, I believe, some other conferences that were held but were significantly scaled back.
Yeah.
One of the areas from a donor standpoint where you all have helped tremendously, and this is sort of behind the scenes, but it has enabled events like our convention and the great work of ACB Radio to go off flawlessly, is our ability to migrate our digital assets, so acb.org, acbradio.org, into the Microsoft Azure cloud to give us, an enterprise quality place to store and to operate our digital assets. It made for so much better experience for our convention this summer to have our websites reside there. Things were seamless. It has not always been the case within this organization, and frankly, within a lot of other nonprofits, right? The information technology component oftentimes lags behind the rest of the organization and nonprofits. And we made a very strategic investment this year, much of which we were allowed to do because of the generosity of donors and members.
And our corporate partners as well, that's been helping
Yep.
us in that regard.
Yeah,
And it is, you know, if ever there was a year for digital data, it's 2020.
absolutely.
I mean, this year has been, you know, talk a little bit about, we were so fortunate that, you know, and I have friends that have worked for other nonprofits where, you know, some nonprofits unfortunately are closing, some furloughed staff, some were great in keeping staff on. But, you know, I talked to friends working for nonprofits and they'd kind of be sitting idly because they couldn't be performing community programs and services because everything was shut down. But talk a little bit about, you know, March 15th and what happened and how we continued. We got busier in some sense.
Oh, there's no doubt we got busier. It has been a full on just rush for the rest of the year to try and accomplish so many different things. Really, when the world closed down, we opened up. So March 15th, I believe I called everybody on our team and we began working virtually the next day on March 16th. And we worked virtually for the next 3+ months. One of the really nice things, again, coming back to the information technology component of our organization, is that we had made investments in laptops with Zoom, as well as Ring Central, which is our voice over internet protocol phones, so that folks that would call here would not be able to tell the difference that folks were actually picking up from their homes on their cell phones. So a ton of work went into ensuring that all that stuff worked, but it worked really the very first day. The reliance on Zoom has been enormous, not just for our team, but for the entire organization. The accessibility of it from the front end, being able to participate, but also on the back end, this is a Zoom webinar and it's being managed by blind people. And that's something that you can't underestimate. The accessibility, the overall usability of this, and allowing us to get the message out, the good word of the organization, as well as the topics and the ability to engage with one another. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to the community meetings, because I think that's been one of the one of the greatest things to come out of this year is, we talked about this at the beginning of the pandemic, as people who are blind and visually impaired, we know what it's like to be isolated and to have that feeling before we learned how to be independent, what that felt like to be sequestered in your own house and to be, in a sense, socially distanced from the world. That was in our mindsets, and we were determined as empowered people who had overcome these challenges previously to not let that hold us back. And that's why Cindy, who's our membership coordinator, based out of Michigan, and so many others, volunteers, stepped up and built this literally a real global village has been created in 8 months at the hands of
blind people for blind people.
Blind people for blind people. We're American Council of the Blind. And we have, thanks to Sydney and Deb Cook-Lewis, we have an army of Zoom facilitators themselves who are blind, working on a platform, setting up meetings. If it's doing programs like armchair yoga, health and wellness programs to help us mentally get through what a outrageous year this has been from the pandemic perspectives and a lot of the upheaval in the summer, to move through that process and to find a place to where we can really have community. And that's been one of the greatest things, I think, that has really been risen out of this, because we've heard time and time again, and for all those that have helped out lift up the volunteer community, and for all those that are individual donors that are helping sustain the work that Cindy and others are doing, you have really created something that will go beyond the pandemic. And we've heard time and time again that this is something that we know isn't going to go away. No. And we're already making, infrastructure, laying the groundwork to make sure that the community continues to thrive, as we really created, in some sense, a whole new way for people who are blind and visually impaired to find community, to break down walls of isolation, which we know most of the people the 4.2 million Americans that are significantly legally blind, totally blind, severely visually impaired, a lot of them are isolated right now. And we're looking next year to reach those people, to find ways. And in a sense, we really have a bedrock now because of the work that Cindy and their volunteers have been doing to really lay that forward.
The pandemic will eventually end, but the foundation of what we built is only going to be further enhanced. And so, we've found a way to engage with a whole new group of people that is growing by the day. And we're so excited, but we're also very appreciative. We're appreciative of those folks during this time, during the convention, that elected to give and give and give and give. I believe, this is my own observation, but I believe that folks today can see and feel the value of us as an organization. And that has, that's excited folks and made them want to give whatever they can. And, whatever you've been able to give this year, thank you so much. We cannot do all of this without the help and the cheers from the members and donors, and many of you are our members and donors, and it is much appreciated.
Indeed, one of the things I know I am, and Eric, I know you as well, are most thankful for this year is you, the people that have been giving, and we're very excited for what 2021 will have in store. We're excited to get on the other side of this pandemic. We're also excited to launch a national campaign on health and wellness that once we get out, we're going to get up and get moving. And it's going to focus on the largest population of people who are becoming blind today, people with diabetes. It's going to focus on all others who have been, in a sense, feeling like we've been forced into seclusion. And as we get up and get moving, it's going to be a national public awareness campaign. Again, we couldn't do this without your support. And for our volunteers, to our donors, to everybody across the board, a huge thank you on behalf of the organization.
Yes, thank you.
And we're going to be joining again tonight at 8 p.m. I'll be so excited to have President Dan Spoon, who's going to be joining us from Florida. So if you want to hear as well from President Spoon tonight on November the 19th, join us at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Those that were able to get this link, it was sent out again today through ACB to everybody on our list. And so, I think we can maybe got a couple minutes to take a couple questions, but, on behalf of all of us, thank you. So anybody have any questions, feel free to answer and let you know what your support has been able to provide over the past year?
Yeah.
Linda, is there anybody raising their hand? If not, we can.
Yes, there are. Let
Oh,
me
wonderful.
go over very quickly I'm sure most of you know, but let me just quickly go over these. So to raise your hand on a laptop or a computer, yeah, is Alt A. On your Mac, it's Option A. On your smartphone, um, it should be a raise hand button should be in the middle of your screen someplace. On your regular landline, you're going to find it under *9. Then to unmute after we send you the message telling you you can unmute, on the computer, it's Alt A. On your Mac, it's Command Shift A. On your smartphone, down in the lower left-hand corner, you should find a unmute button. And on your phone, it is *6. And the first person who has had their hand up forever is area code 305. And you should be able to unmute now.
I'm unmuted. Thank you very much. This is Board Member Jim Crott. I just wanted to ask you both if you would elaborate for our wonderful donors a little bit about the numbers, the number of people that the convention attendance grew by, and a little bit about the growth rate itself on how community calls were, let's say, in February and March, and how they are today in terms of number. Thank you.
Sure. In terms of the growth, it's been an outstanding year. And we're not really going to know the full amount of growth in terms of like new members until next year, when all of our local affiliates that people have been joining have been able to, register and sign people up and make sure that they get into our back end system so that we know who's all new. I know we've had a number, like in terms of our MMS program, which is a monthly monetary support program. I think we grew that by over 80 people over the course of the convention. So we're very fortunate that a lot of people are engaging on the donor side, but just on the community side, where a lot of this growth has been taking place from, it started from just a dozen or so, I think, in March.
There were two, I
Yeah.
believe, in March or something like that, and then through April it increased, it doubled. In May, I believe it doubled. There was like a doubling that took place.
So this is Cindy. Can I jump in?
There we go. There's our
Yes.
numbers.
Yeah.
Expert.
All right. We had
Give us numbers.
13 in March, 88 in April, 160 in May, 223 in June, 150 something with the convention in July. In August, we were over 260. We've been over 300 calls in
now,
September.
These are like
and
meetings.
October. Yeah, they're events. And so we are on, we will hit over 300 in November as well. These are 300 events, 7 days a week, every day, anywhere from 8 to 18 calls take place now. And if I could just jump in and just say that Thanksgiving, we have had people step up. They wanted to make sure people won't be alone. This is community people reaching out and saying, we want to make sure that everyone's taken care of and no one feels isolated, no one feels alone. And so we have 10 hours already slated, covered, planned out. We're calling it Friendsgiving. It will go on from 11 a.m. and through 9 p.m. And then there are 2 follow-up events that 2 other people have put together at 9 p.m. So if people want to stop in for 10 minutes or 10 hours, they can, and these are all volunteers that will be facilitating and hosting those calls throughout Thursday. So it's just, that's what's happened with the community. And we know it's thousands and thousands of people. We have people admitting to coming on to events throughout the week, 25 calls in 1 week. And I don't think that person is alone. So, and this morning I had somebody brand new come on and say, I just found you. I can't believe I've been alone all this time and I just found you. And she was in tears. So
excellent. Thank you, Cindy. Yeah. And then, the Facebook community, we have a Facebook community. I think that grew, we hit over 1,000, just a little over 1 month once that launched in June. Hit over 1,000. In terms of the convention, Jim, we average a little under 1,000 nationally, depending where it is. It's harder to find the physical places for some places like Rochester versus when we were in St. Louis, or, the idea that we were going to be in Chicago this past year. But we had over 1,600 sign up who registered for the convention this year.
ACB radio.
And then there was ACB radio. I think we had over 2,500 people listening over Alexa, the home speaker for smart homes. So yeah, our numbers as well went way through the roof with the convention participation, as well as with the community meetings. It's a supply and demand. And we're having this many meetings because we're having this many more people get engaged and want to be able to participate in these community events that Cindy was mentioning. So I think we're getting close to 2,000 any day now, right, Cindy, or early December probably, as far as the amount of meetings we've had since the pandemic started. So.
Oh, I think you're right.
So well done there. So thanks to Cindy. Thank you.
And everybody.
And all your volunteers, because it is an army. It literally is a whole team of people, the content creators, and so many more. Linda, any other questions?
Yes, Zachary.
Hey, Zachary.
Zachary, you should be able to unmute.
Hey, guys, this is Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
Nice to hear from you as always. Thank you so much for inviting me. So just to introduce myself.
Zach, did we lose you?
He got muted somehow. He needs to unmute again.
Yeah, there we go. All right,
there we go. Hey, man.
Thanks, Cindy. So just to introduce myself really quickly, I'm Zach Bastian. I am Accessibility Partnerships Lead at Verizon. I've been working with Tony and Eric and Clark and Claire and all the great folks at ACB for 4 years now. I just wanted to say, first of all, how I'm so impressed with the level of member engagement that you're really pushing yourselves to do in this time where it's more important than ever for people to stay connected. I thought your comments around the isolation around the pandemic are just so critical to highlight the need for a lot of community engagement and circling the wagons and really supporting each other. And I was wondering if you could just comment on the moment.
I think we lost you.
You comment on the moment, and then we lost you again. Zach. What was the last part there?
Oh, he's disappeared. So
we lost Zach.
Who are we looking
Zach, who was talking, but
Zachary
Oh, Zach,
Bastian,
I'm
he has
sorry.
his hand raised
I
again.
disabled his talking. Zach, if you'll raise your hand again.
I just allowed him
will
to talk.
allow you to
It's,
talk.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank
All
you,
right,
Cindy.
I'll be quick in case something else happens. But I was hoping you guys could comment a bit on some of the policy and technology challenges that you see going forward, especially as we move into a new administration, a new FCC Disability Advisory Committee, and your thoughts on those issues.
Well, from my perspective, the technology challenges that we are experiencing and have been experiencing, they've been made all the more acute by the fact that there's a pandemic going on, and that is to be able to manage independently one's own health. And so the devices that we rely upon to manage our own health care most of the time are not accessible to us. And I know, Zach, we've probably had a conversation or two about that, but that's really hit home with regard to the needs for us in the future and any new administration. I don't know if that'll come through the FCC or through another door, but there are a multitude of illnesses that folks who are blind have, not the least of which is diabetes. And diabetes is, it's a gateway disease that, if not managed properly, leads to a whole host of other illnesses that can be deadly, frankly. So, and obviously lead to blindness. That's one of the key things, right, Tony? So having the ability for us to let's just say take our own blood pressure, do other things that sighted folks do with devices that are accessible to us, is a very big thing.
Like telemedicine and tracking our data, a huge part of the data now, that data is everything now. in a virtual world, how do we access the data that helps us stay healthy? I got to say, I mean, Zach, because with Verizon, you all were with us in the CVAA, which we celebrated the 10th anniversary. And Verizon has been with us the whole way. And we have been so thankful for the support of our corporate sponsors, particularly like Verizon, and really excited by where you all are really taking the lead in the 5G space. We've talked about this in sort of off-channel conversations, and when we've had briefings or convenings and things around the future of technology. There's enormous potential. And I remember we had these conversations when we were, helping sort of push for 5G several years ago to say, look, this is not that far off. And it's crazy to think here it is now that all the new iPhones and everything on the Android side, a lot of 5G, the data is incredible. The latency and the speed by which data can move now is incredible. And that's going to open up huge opportunities to all new ways of information, ways to leverage information. Autonomous vehicles are now on the road being used commercially in like rideshare type services with driverless cars. In Arizona, it's looking to be like that in San Francisco now. It's just a very exciting time from technology. And we're so excited by our technology partners and the people that have chosen to invest in ACB from a donor level, knowing that technology is one of the areas we've carved out our niche in, which has been spectacular, and really sort of innovate and finding ways to break down the opportunity gap that exists between people who are blind, which is a huge significant opportunity gap, and then the larger population. When we look at mobility, when we look at education, we look at access to data, when we look at GPS and things like technologies like IRA or Be My Eyes or OrCam, things that technology can be leveraged to augment our sensory loss. It's incredible to think where technology is going. And we're excited to work with partners like Verizon and others that are leading the way to get there. So thank you.
This is Zach. Thank you, Tony, for those kind words, and Eric for yours as well. And I think that we have a lot of excitement around 5G, but there are big things happening in so many different phases of Verizon at this point. We're part of the Valuable 500, which is this disability inclusion CEO-led initiative around really improving internal and external recruitment for our employees with disabilities and working to really level up the way that we're supporting people internally. We have our distance learning initiative that Clark will get a deep dive on at our Consumer Advisory Board meeting coming up on the ways that we've really provided hugely valuable bulk rates for school districts and individual schools on getting connectivity for students that are now distance learning. So all that is to say that we have, many things on the horizon that go beyond 5G that will level up our accessibility and our disability inclusion. And partners like ACB are the reasons that things like this happen, because it allows us to push internally for these issues when we have external partners that are extremely high functioning, that operate on a policy level, on an individual service delivery level for their members. That allows us to go back to the people within the business, the people that are leading our policy operation, and say, listen, this partner that's credible, that does great work in the community every day, this is what they're asking for, and this is what we need to build. So we owe it all to you guys.
Well, thank you, Zach, as well. Thanks for Verizon's support over the years. So Linda, anybody else in queue?
Todd, you should be able to unmute.
Hello.
Try.
Yep.
Todd?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I seem to be able to unmute when I hold down the space bar. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you just fine now. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but like I said, when I hit Alt A, I wasn't able to unmute. So I've got the space bar thing. I want you guys to know that I have been really I want you to know that I really enjoy these virtual conventions, and I can only hope that they'll keep going, because one of the hardest things in my life was when my day program had to close this year because of COVID. And these community calls have really kept me going. As a matter of fact, my old director has opened a new day program and I thought about joining, but in truth, I'd miss the community calls. And I would prefer doing community calls because I can, I can get together from my own home. So I can only just hope that these will keep going for as long as, because also I'm not a very good traveler. So I can't attend all the conventions. So I just hope that even when we go back to holding live conventions, that there'll be like a Zoom link for people who can't.
That will continue most definitely. There's an outcry for the virtual to continue on when the pandemic is over. And frankly, I think we've tapped into something and have built the foundation of something that will continue on into the foreseeable future.
And I also like this because sighted people, we hold a virtual church every Sunday on Zoom, and I really like it because they get to see what it's like when a blind person is doing an audio chat room. They get to see sort of what it's like. A sighted person gets to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So
wonderful, yeah. Well, we definitely will continue to go virtual, and thanks so much for joining us today. And Omaha will be in person, and there'll be a virtual element to it as well. So
right, okay.
That's in 2022. Yep. But thanks for joining, Linda. Do we have a couple more? We're at half an hour now. Do we? I think that was close to the time we want to try to spend in people that are taking late lunches and things like that.
Area code 614. You should be able to unmute.
This is Melody, Columbus, Ohio. Linda, I wanted so badly to tell you who I was. I am one of the roughly 26% who would not have been able to attend this year's convention if it had not been virtual. That's the unforeseen advantage of COVID-19. And this was my first convention, and I now know how integral ACB has become in my life. It is one of the key positive players in my personal game of life and one of my main focal points. And I now know why I survived 2 serious illnesses and 9 attempts on my life, just to be a part of ACB as well as to be a caregiver for the ladies that I help. And these community calls every day have become such a main staple in my life, and I can feel the collective hand of ACB on me, and the loneliness is killing me, but I don't feel alone anymore. You're the essence of love.
That's one of the great things we love to hear, Melody. So thank you so much, and thanks for being a part of the community and giving your time up, which is, one of the greatest things people can give is their time, and just being part of the village and part of the family.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Melody. Who else do we have, Linda? And how many more do we have, Linda, just for time's sake?
Whoops. Looks like about 3.
About 3, okay. And then we'll let people go on their way after those. But thanks everybody for being a part of this. And again, we'll be joining tonight at 8 o'clock with President Dan Spoon, Dan and I.
Okay, Jamaica. You should be able to unmute.
Yes, my name is Jamaica Miller. I'm from Athens, Georgia. And I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate all the community calls as well. But one thing that I wanted to ask, just to kind of ask about, is can people send checks to the different programs, like for the leadership scholarship and for the ACB radio and stuff like that, because I'm very limited in my ability, and I can't really sign up for the monetary support group, So I just want to check and make sure if is it okay to do it by
Most definitely, Jamaica. Yes, yeah, it is. And first off, thank you. We know that everybody, gives at a level that they're capable of giving. And we're so thankful for, even if it's just your time being part of the community meetings and things like that.
Jamaica's on a ton of community.
Yeah,
meetings.
and that in itself is a huge contribution to the larger group. But anybody that makes a contribution, yeah, you can earmark it towards something specific, and we will make sure that the money is we respectfully receive those requests and earmark them for certain projects or initiatives, if it's our leadership training, and what people are capable to give within their means. We're so fortunate and so thankful of Jamaica for people like you especially. So thank you for everything that you've been able to do.
Thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, that is the greatest gift.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is possible to just, let, our Minneapolis staff receives those donations. And if there's ways that anybody, not just yourself, but anybody wants to focus on, let's say ACB radio, or let's say, the community meetings or our health and wellness program, anything like that. So yeah, but thank you, Jamaica. Thanks for joining.
We have 3 hands. One of them has already spoken. So that's
For
up
the
to you.
sake
What
of
do you
time, yeah, if we can try to crank through those that haven't had a chance to speak yet,
Okay, so
will go on their ways. And
yeah,
you can
maybe-
always reach me too at astevens@acb.org, or call our national office. And I'm still teleworking part of the week, but we'll try to get back with people as soon as we can. And we're again tonight on with Dan Spoon tonight at 8.
Okay, so Janeen, you should be able to unmute and talk.
Hi,
Okay,
Janine.
hey, hi, how are you guys?
Doing great.
Wonderful.
How are you?
Great. So I just wanted to let you know that I found out about ACB because of FCB, because that was the first virtual thing I've ever heard of. And I'm really grateful for this community. I just went blind last year. So if it wasn't for FCB's virtual convention, I wouldn't have known about ACB's convention. And then I dived in, and Cindy's so welcoming. But I just kind of wanted to ask you, in the time that you were talking, sometimes it gets forgotten. And I think it's really, really important when you do your alphabet soup that you explain things. So you said something CCVA. I don't know what a CCVA is.
So let me stop talking. I used to be the director of advocacy, so my world is sometimes stuck in that, what do they call acronym soup, or what is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So
the
it's really important
CCVA
to not just use
or
those.
the CVAA. I don't even remember anymore. It's been so long. The Communications and Video Accessibility Act. Mr. Eric Bridges across the table from me, not to make your head larger, Eric, virtually. ACB played a key part in passage of the CVAA 10 years ago. 10 years, 1 month, and 12 days or 11 days, whatever it is. When Eric got to go to the White House and sign it with Stevie Wonder. And we have a great YouTube video that talks about it and celebrates it on our YouTube channel. But it's basically why our mobile phones are all accessible now. It's why we have audio description on television now. And it was a huge piece of legislation that really brought the ADA into the telecommunications mobile digital world. Verizon was helpful with us. AT&T was helpful with us in getting this passed, and we had key partners. And since then, a lot of folks in the corporate side and in our advocate side have really walked together in making the telecom, the mobile world accessible. Talking office phones now, things we've been able to succeed through it. So yeah, so that's what it's in reference to, Janine.
Cool. I just didn't know because I'm still learning alphabet soup. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for it's fantastic to hear you getting engaged a year after your sight loss, and being around so many empowering. Florida has so many empowering people that are independent and really stretch the boundaries for what we can have in closing an opportunity gap. So you're in good company.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Be safe.
Have a good day.
Yep.
Agnes, you should be able to unmute now, Agnes.
Hi, Agnes. Well, Agnes is unmuting. We apologize. They're doing roof work on the building today at our headquarters, so hopefully it hasn't been too loud. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm now unmuted. When
You
I
are.
pressed the space bar, it didn't work, apparently. Anyhow, I live in Greeley, Colorado, and I do appreciate the community calls. And one of the big benefits of all the practice I got in Zoom is I've been able to carry that over to participating in some Zoom events that are not related to ACB, mainly with our area agency on aging. I've participated in some Zoom classes they had on Zoom. Every year they have a WELD senior symposium. Usually it's in person. They switched it to Zoom this year. I was able to, easily participate in that. And I also want to thank Mika White for the great Zoom instructions she gave. The one thing I've not yet done is set up my own personal Zoom account. I plan on doing that, but I have the podcast downloaded, so she gave such good instructions. I don't think I'll have too much trouble doing that when I sit down and do that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. We hear that a lot from folks who take the skills that they have learned through Zoom, the front, but also the back end of setting up and managing a Zoom call, them taking that to their church groups or to their book clubs or other places outside of ACB. That is a pretty common theme that I hear about from folks, and Cindy tells me a lot about as well. So it's just another benefit. It's another tool in your toolbox that you can use during this time of virtualness to continue to be able to communicate. So awesome.
And I have dragged my boss away from his desk longer than I promised him I would.
No.
Do we have any more questions? Do we have any more questions? I do know we have a leadership meeting coming early, but yeah, so
whatever.
You
but we
do
can probably
have two.
entertain.
You do
What
have
do we
two
got,
more
Linda?
hands, and if you'd like me to ask them to stop raising hands, I can do that.
That would be great.
That would be great,
We'll
yeah,
take
because we
these
do need to
last
wrap
two.
things up, and we'll be on again tonight at 8. And if folks can be brief, just so I can let
Okay.
Eric back. Hello.
Okay. Area code 305.
It's Jim again, Jim Crott.
Yes, this is Jim Crott again. I wondered if you would be kind enough to give Jamaica the Minneapolis mailing address if she wanted to make a donation. Thank you.
Sure, Jim. They moved though. What's the new address, Eric?
Can help with the new address. You guys need the new address?
Yeah, what's the new address? They moved across. I don't know the
Kelly
city.
to the rescue.
So the new address is 6200, so 6200. And then the street name is 2 words. So the first word is Shingle, SHINGLE. Second word is Creek, so Shingle Creek Parkway, Suite 155. And that's in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, zip code 55430.
That's 55430 is the zip code.
Yes. And you
Excellent.
can find this information on our website under contact as well.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
No problem.
Yeah, they literally just moved the office like a month ago or so to a new suite, and I now I know that number 155. So I shall retain that. Who else we got? Last one.
Well,
Linda.
that looks like one of the
You
people
have
must.
281.
Oh.
There you
Oh, I'm
go.
sorry.
I think it's
Yeah,
probably, could be Peggy maybe, or Michael. 281.
I didn't see the land page.
I did
Oh.
it. You can unmute.
Hello, 281. Oh, this is James Bond.
Star 6.
It ends in 9965. Okay, well, they can't, but you have several, you actually have a couple of others, but you probably have to end sometime.
We do. I apologize. We will be on tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern
Oh, there's
time.
Peggy.
Oh,
I finally got unmuted.
Peggy.
I didn't realize
Peggy.
I didn't realize I had my hand raised. Sorry about that. But since I did, thank you guys for all that you do. And this has been just wonderful given the circumstances. So many of our Texas people have been able to join in, and they're every day telling me about the programs and sessions that they're really enjoying. So thank you all so much for all that you're doing, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Well, thanks, Peggy, and I appreciated being able to participate in the Texas convention in August. So glad to hear from you.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
I don't see any more hands.
All right. For everybody that's still listening in on ACB Radio, everybody that's still joining us in the meeting. You know, again, we can't say thank you enough. Your support helps lift us up and has sustained the organization through, you know, historic times, and has really helped set our trajectory for next year. And we're really excited for what we'll be able to share next year and in the coming year with everything with you. You know, keep your ears and eyes posted for exciting things going on in December as we go toward the end of the year. And again, thank you for everything that you've been able to do to help this organization.
Thank you very much. We're working on a lot of really cool stuff, but frankly, much of it wouldn't be possible without you. And so thank you. And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Be safe and well, everybody.